In our previous episode on begonias, we just looked at begonias in general, and I did introduce you to one method of propagation using the rhizome. So today what I'd like to do is actually introduce another two methods of propagation in order to give you a choice so that you can see which one will work for you. So my name is Alice and I'm the Redsoil gardener. Now, in the previous episode, when we were looking at begonias, if you remember, I went into one of my plants in the corner where all my begonias are kept, and I picked up a rhizome, and out of that rhizome I actually put them in containers, and then I waited for it to propagate. Now, when you look at this particular begonia, as we said, it grows from the rhizome, and what I did in the previous episode is I just pulled out one of the rhizomes similar to this, and if you look at the plant anyway, is that you'll see all the little babies actually grow out from the rhizome, and here are my little furry babies all ready to sprout. So if you look at this here, that's one rhizome, and it actually is just above the soil, and some of the other rhizomes are just underneath the soil. They're not deep rooted. So basically, when you do want to make a propagation from the rhizome, it's not difficult to actually take the rhizome, snip it off and start propagating, because you won't really hurt or destroy the plant. In the previous episode, I basically took the rhizome and then put it in organic matter, and then we snapped it closed. Now, these are the babies that have been propagated from that rhizome that I put in this container. So here is one, again, my little furry babies, and here is some others. These are all from that propagation I did with the rhizome and putting it in this container. I wanted to try different methods of propagating without using the rhizome. So what I did is I have one propagation here, and this one actually did work. Let's look at this one. I'm just going to put my gloves because it may get a bit messy, and then I'll explain to you what happened and why we did it that way. Just give me a minute. Okay, got gloves on. I'm going to just tip it over. Now here is I tried a leaf propagation, and actually it did take off because I see some rooting happening. So what I did is I took this leaf, and all I did is just cut it like that, a straight cut, and then I placed it in the soil. Now this sort of propagation, which I have some others, this must be about maybe 2.5 weeks old, but at least I can even see some strong rooting there. And once you leave it and you start getting babies starting to come, basically that's when you move it into another pot, and then a bigger pot, as I've done in this one. Now I'm going to put this one aside, and let's have a look at these ones here. Again, this is just simply cutting the stem, placing it in soil, and if you look, I've started my baby begonias and they're coming out, and that looks really good. And again, that is just putting the stem in the soil and waiting for the babies to come. But I'm going to have a look at the others and see the progress. So this is one. I'm going to pull it. Oh, there it is. Look at that rooting. My gosh, that's lovely. There we go. Just be very gentle. And look at that, so much rooting. I think this was a success. And I think this is just from taking your stem and putting it in the soil. I'm going to put it aside now. And then let's look at the other one. Oh, this one. Oh dear. What a success. Look at that. Somehow they seem to have joined hands, the two babies. And look at that rooting. I mean, I have it everywhere. I'm not going to break it up because I'm going to plant this in a bigger pot just as it is. It seems like the two girls have actually got together, and there's our babies. Look at that. What a success. Now, what I also attempted to do, because with the begonia, the most interesting thing about it is you could actually propagate using the leaf, and I've never tried this method before. And so basically what you do is you cut the leaf, you cut along it, like that, and that's what you will actually lie it flat in the soil and just lightly cover it, and you are to get rooting from the veins. That's where the babies will come from. So I'm really curious to see what happened to this one. I think we actually got rooting. All these roots are coming out of the centerpiece. I didn't cut mine along the vein. All I did was cut along here, and then I placed it in the soil like that. And with the result, whatever contact the plant had with the soil it started rooting. So we've looked at stem propagation out of the leaves. We've looked at rhizomes being propagated. And the next one is that when you do have a cane begonia, which you'll always recognize because they grow tall, they grow straight. Now, I would like to show you what I did. Now, I'm going to just move this aside. Now, this is a cane begonia. As you see, it is quite tall, and it was quite small when I decided that I'm going to do a soil propagation. So all I did was cut off the stem and just plonk it in soil, and look, already I have babies. And it's very, very simple because they usually do take on the soil propagation. So you could actually work out, do you want to go in soil propagation or try the water propagation? Now, what I've done here is today I just I put this one in, but this one I put a few days ago. These are the angel's wings, but already I can, this is just, let's say, it's actually 6 days, and already I'm getting rooting coming out of this angel's wing through water propagation. when you're trying to do a water propagation for begonias is always know, as we all know, it all starts from the node. So basically is I'm going to snip this one. This is one I collected today. I'm going to just cut off here and expose the node, which is this one here. And then with that node, I'm going to put it in water. Now the thing is, as we all know, is that you should keep a few leaves so that photosynthesis does take place and it feeds the newborn baby. So I'm going to snip this one here. I'm going to snip that one there. And in that way, I'm going to make this slightly shorter, because we want it submerged. And with this one, I'm going to plonk it in the water and wait for it to propagate, and that is your water propagation. So what we've seen with the cane begonia, you could actually do a soil propagation where you cut the stem of the plant and then just put it in the soil, and before you know it, it starts to grow, and you may even have a little plantlet growing at the side. So we've done that, we've done this, we've also done these ones. And now what we're going to do is I'd like to explain to you why I always cover my plants either in the containers or with plastic bags. Now the way I'm going to explain it is I'll just take one of the babies. I'm going to take this one. It's got the node. And I'm going to remove the leaf here, because if you see, we already have a node, and I have two nodes, which is usually quite good for propagating. And although you do get the leaves coming from the node, is at the moment it's not important because we want to multiply this begonia. So I'm going to cut it down, and here you go, that's the node. I have now my angel wing begonia here, and I have my node. So what I've got here is a very light organic, it's just, look at that, and that's what these guys like, is I'm going to put this and submerge the node inside the soil. So that's my begonia in the soil. Now what I normally do is then, because in Kenya we're banned to have plastic bags and everything, so I use these office plastic folders, and all I do is I cover the begonia completely like that, and then put your rubber band around, and all I would do is leave it in the kitchen, because you do get a bit of warmth in the kitchen, and this will have a greenhouse effect, and you will see it steaming inside. And what happens is that your plant grows much quicker. The propagation takes faster. So I've given you all these choices to see how you want to actually propagate your begonia. We'll continue with begonias because there's so much more to learn. And thank you so much for joining me on this episode, and happy Begonia Day. Don't forget to like, to share, press that notification button, subscribe to our channel, and invite other people, because all we try to do is give you simple tips, practical tips that are so easy to manage. Thank you so much, and have a lovely day.